For years I've been asking for a good Harry Potter game, and it looks like finally there is a chance my prayers have been answered. When I was a kid, I played all of the Harry Potter games. Some were significantly better than others. The Game Boy Advance versions of the Philosopher's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets were very fun, very immersive. They had like a Final Fantasy feel to them almost. But the Philosopher's Stone like PC game and PlayStation game where they use Flipendo and everyone is shaped like a hexagon, they've not aged well. Even the Quidditch World Cup, which I sunk hours into, isn't good now. I've played it recently and it's just a bad game. What I've always wanted from a Harry Potter game is something immersive, where I can get lost in it and build my own story, similar to like Mass Effect or Final Fantasy, or something where you've got great control to explore and sort of shape the story and feel like you're really a part of that world, rather than just take the actions the game wants you to, and the only challenging thing is whether you can make the jump from one bookcase to another. I want to make decisions and explore places and find secrets and solve mysteries and do all these cool stuff, almost like I'm controlling the narrative myself. That's what I want, that sort of freedom and creativity to play a Harry Potter game. There's been news for a long time, little tidbits of information coming out that an RPG in the Harry Potter world was coming out, but we knew so little about it, and I didn't massively hold out hope for this game to get made. But a proper trailer has come out now, which means for all intents and purposes this is happening. It is definitely happening. There's very little that can get in the way of it, barring like Harry Potter entirely getting bought by like Disney or something, because I know they killed that Star Wars game. But there's a trailer for it, which means it's going to happen almost certainly. So I'm going to watch the trailer. I've not seen it yet. I'm going to watch it now and react to it live.
Magic, both beautiful and powerful, binds together our long history. That common bond we share is the legacy of Hogwarts.
Graphics on this already. I guess this is in
Now
gameplay.
it is time to add your own story to
1800s,
these
okay.
hallowed halls.
Gamble with that. That's hence the cart and not a
quite
train.
possibly shape the future of the wizarding world. Every corridor, every portrait, every stone in this castle tells the story of witches and wizards who came before. Here you will meet lifelong friends and grow into your own magical abilities.
Wow.
In the classroom.
I guess they don't use technology at Hogwarts, so the actual Hogwarts experience isn't going to be that different, is it?
And while your journey begins at Hogwarts, brewing potions, taming fantastic beasts, and mastering spells, there is a larger world beyond these walls. A world filled with dangers you can't yet imagine. An ancient knowledge long gone from this world. That strange and mysterious talent you possess may be the key to unlocking this dormant power. Your potential is limitless. But what form
Looks a
will it
bit
take?
like an Elder Scrolls game almost.
The journey ahead will reveal what you stand for. The choices you make now will define the legacy of Hogwarts.
Okay, Hogwarts Legacy. I'm going to need to watch that again, I think. First impressions though, it looks really cool. The graphics are like nothing we've seen in a Harry Potter game before. Definitely not hexagonal heads in this one. 1800s is, it's just, we don't know anything about that era for the wizarding world, right? They don't use like electricity or mobile phones or anything at Hogwarts, obviously, but it's interesting whether they talk about like magic technological advances in this game, like maybe apparating hasn't been invented yet, you know, or I don't know what, like, I don't even know what big things happened in the 1800s in terms of the world, like whether they'll interact with like Muggle history or something in there. I'm gonna watch it again and sort of pause it as thoughts occur to me this time. Okay, so the graphics look great, obviously, but this is not gameplay, this is a trailer, so I mean, it's next gen, it's PS5, so it's gonna be good graphics anyway, just whether they're quite like this. I mean, look at that shot of Hogwarts, it's gorgeous. So it's the late 1800s, right? And I wonder if it all takes place across like 1 year or a small chunk of time, or whether you're gonna do your whole 7 years at Hogwarts. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do that, the development, because doing your years through Hogwarts would be a bit weird controlling an 11-year-old that ends as like an 18-year-old at the end of the game. But the development, like, I don't know if you've got customization of skills and stuff, but like the end of each year or something would be cool. It's just, with games, it makes sense because you're world establishing, right? You're teaching somebody the very basics of how to live in this world of this game, so they need to feel like a newcomer so that they can, oh, this is how you do this basic spell. Like, how are they going to write that into the game if you're already like a 6th year and you've been at Hogwarts for years? Do you know what I mean? You'd already know that spell, and it would already break the immersion if they're teaching you how to suck an egg right at the start. Great Hall still looks the same, moving portraits, the library, it all looks really cool. The stairs, rather than stairs turning, they're like crumbling together, so that's different from the Hogwarts we know, that's cool. They've clearly chosen to put it in the 1800s for a reason, either to keep it very separate from the Fantastic Beasts prequels and the Harry Potter universe. Either they want to keep it very separate from that, or there's a specific reason why they're doing it in the 1800s.
Here you will,
I mean, it just looks beautiful. Look at that courtyard.
grow into your own magical abilities in the classrooms of the world's most.
The teachers, that's going to be a cool aspect, because I guess we'll have never met these teachers before. Maybe it'll be like wizards and witches we've heard of from like in the books and stuff. Like, that'll be cool. There's so much room for Easter eggs in this, and I cannot wait. But yeah, the classes look the same, right? Herbology, potions,
Brewing potions, taming fantastic
like
beasts,
pair of magic creatures,
mastering spells.
presumably defense against the dark arts. The lessons could be exactly the same as they would be now. So I guess the beauty of the wizarding world is that you can feel somewhat modern, even though it's in the 1800s. Is the experience going to be that different to feeling like you're playing a game set at Hogwarts in the 21st century? Like, is it going to be that different? I wonder if they'll have like old English language, like everybody talks like they were raised in the olden times and they have supper. I wonder if that'll happen. The extended worlds look very cool. Hogsmeade, wherever they're flying on, presumably hippogriffs, or are they Pegasi? The one thing I'm hoping they don't fall into the trap of is presenting it like an open world you can explore, but it being very linear, just with multiple locations. Like Final Fantasy 15, I don't know how many of you played it, you have this very open world to begin with, but as soon as they take you to other areas, then it becomes linear. Like there's this place that looks like Venice, and you've got select paths you can take, and then you go back to this other place, and that's very linear, and you're on a train and you have to get off the train and explore this area, which again is very linear, and then you go back in time and attack the palace, and then that's very linear, and they make it feel like a big open world to explore, but actually, like this shot where they're flying in on the hippogriffs, there's clearly only one path to take here, so I'm worried it's gonna be open world, but with boundaries that you have to sit between that are very narrow. Like, some boundaries are fine. I'd like a very open space where you can choose whether you go to that house in the distance. Like, you go to Hogsmeade, but it's not just Hogsmeade lined with shops that you either go in or you don't. Like, I want loads of different parts of Hogsmeade that you can explore, you know? I don't want them to fall into that trap, and I have this horrible feeling they're going to, but I really hope that I'm proved wrong.
A world filled with
Again, skeletons, like dark magic and villains that you have to fight. Like, I imagine it's going to start quite jovial. Maybe you'll have a villain at Hogwarts that you have to battle with like the Harry Draco sort of dynamic, but then eventually dark magic starts cropping up and you have the big Voldemort-y boss, the actual thing you have to solve, and you realise actually my feud with that Slytherin didn't really matter. That's another point. I wonder if they'll let you choose your house, because I know a lot of Harry Potter fans are going to get a bit upset if they just get assigned Gryffindor just for the narrative, or even worse, if they are randomly assigned a house based on nothing. Like, maybe they'll have an aptitude test, or maybe you'll get to pick, I don't know. But that'll be a really telling way from the start as to whether it's super customizable or not. Dementors, presumably, but again, all of these scenes, the skeletons coming down this narrow cave path, these Dementors flying out of this very narrow corridor, it all feels, and I really hope it's not, but it all feels very, this is the path that you have to follow. And I would, maybe if it's Skyrim-y, where there's the big open world and then you go into a dungeon with a few paths that you can take, which is a little bit linear, I could get on board with that. But I'd need the giant open world to explore first, where you can choose to go from Hogwarts to Hogsmeade to Godric's Hollow to wherever the hell else is in that sort of surrounding area.
Can't yet imagine.
This looks pretty open. Like, if you can explore out in the wild and random monsters come up to you and you have to like fend for yourself, again, like in the Elder Scrolls games and the Final Fantasy games, you have these encounters you can choose to fight or avoid or whatever. When the walls start to move, that feels very, very Skyrim, doesn't it? Very Elder Scrolls, like, feels almost like medieval magic as opposed to Harry Potter magic, which I'm quite excited about seeing how they incorporate. The graphics, the creativity, these creatures, all look great. Like, look at that troll. If you can fight a cave troll in this, I am going to be... So if you can Wingardium Leviosa the club out of his hands and hit him on the head with it like they did in the Philosopher's Stone, I'm going to be over the moon. A baddie with a mask on here. Obviously it's not going to be the Death Eaters because that comes way after, but I don't know, I guess there's always been dark wizards, right? There was Grindelwald before there was Voldemort. Maybe they've got their own, I hope they're coming up with their own cool sort of dark wizard story. That would be cool. Dragons look terrifying. And so cool.
The choices you make now will define the legacy of Hogwarts.
The choices you make now will define the legacy of Hogwarts. That's quite a deliberate last line, isn't it? And the title is Hogwarts Legacy. So they've said that the choices you make, which makes me think it's got to be, it must be based on like decisions, and it must be really customizable and sort of like make your own journey through it, otherwise that line is very misleading. Are they going to tie it into things that we already know? Like, that would be really cool. Like I said, there's chance for lots of Easter eggs, but if there's like, when's this? The late 1800s. Dumbledore died in 1990s. He was over 100, wasn't he? So the 1890s, presumably Dumbledore's still about. That's a cool thing they could tie in. I've only just clicked that. If they can tie in Dumbledore in this game, would he be a student or is he too old for that? I don't know. They've got so much scope to have some creativity, and I just hope they give some of that creativity to us. Like, I'm sure I will enjoy it if they build this cool world that you just navigate through and you follow the steps and, do this spell here to open this door and then fight this monster, and then that monster clears the path to here and he's the big bad boss. If it's that step by step, I'm sure I'll enjoy it, but I think it will become like really immersive and next level enjoyment if you can decide, do I want to go on this? Like, are there going to be side quests you can pick to do? Can you like grind and level up and become really powerful? Like, all these different ways to play. Well, that's what I'm looking for, is replayability. Like, once I've completed it, why am I going to come back to it? Can I make different decisions? Can I inherently play the game totally differently to the first time? That's what I want from this game. That's the replayability. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Hogwarts Legacy video game trailer. The title says PS5, and I'm really hoping it's not exclusive because I hadn't planned to pick one up. But if this is exclusive for PS5, I will get one. I feel like I have no choice. Until then, I'm going to try to not let my hopes get up too much. I will enjoy this for what it is when it comes out, which is just another chance to experience the Wizarding world and get lost in it and relive that world that I lost myself in as a child, and I'm excited for that. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If enough of you like it, I'm sure they'll do another trailer, so I'll make sure that I react to that as well. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next video.